10 years ago in spring of 2001, we sat around and said, you know, there's a little tiny program in Seattle, Washington, where they try to encourage everybody in Seattle to read the same book at the same time. And we were already doing monthly book discussion groups in our neighborhood libraries, and we thought, well, we can do that. Let's try that. Let's try that as a nice little idea. And we launched it in the fall of 2001 with the support and great leadership of Mayor Richard M. Daley. And of course, the first book we selected was To Kill a Mockingbird. And frankly, the program took off even beyond our wildest dreams. We had no idea what we were unleashing, and it became what we called Mockingbird Mania. And here we are. And at that time, actually, I will tell you, in the middle of fielding phone calls from the British Broadcasting Corporation, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, all about what an amazing program this was, the mayor called me and said, "This is so fantastic. We have to do this program again." And I said, "Well, Mayor, we will. We're going to do it again next fall." And he said, "No, this is too important to only do once a year. We want you to do it. I want you to do it twice a year." And so we are the only city out of now 150 cities around the world that do a one-book program. We're the only city that provides this program twice a year. It requires an enormous amount of work by our great librarians and our one-book staff, an enormous amount of support from our Library Foundation and our library board, and most importantly, the greatest amount of support from the mayor of the city of Chicago. He has been our chief advocate throughout this entire program. And so today we are here to launch with him the 20th selection in this program, and certainly not the last. This program will continue for many years to come, but there's no question in any of our minds that the chief cheerleader and supporter and leader of One Book, One Chicago is and always has been the mayor of the city of Chicago, Richard M. Daley.
Thank you very much, Mary Dempsey, for those kind remarks, and thank you for your leadership and the entire board here of the Chicago Public Library and the wonderful staff and all those who have worked so hard. The Chicago Public Library Foundation, all the members and all the contributors, and especially the staff that have really made a remarkable change here in the city of Chicago, has led other cities to be envious of us here in the city of Chicago and what happened throughout not only our country but throughout the world, how libraries are being shut down because of cutbacks. And that's really unfortunate, because I think libraries are part of the learning environment of a community. It's part of the school, it's part of the family, it's part of the block, it's part of the church. It's part of everything. If you don't have a commitment to libraries, then you lost your focus and your vision, what you can do for people. And this is an opportunity for anyone to come in, regardless of what your status of life is, regardless of your age, your race, your creed, your sex, to come here and to enjoy a free library system. I think some of the proudest things that we have accomplished in 22 years is the understanding that the library is part of the learning environment. This is part of your home and part of the block and part of the community. And when people tell me, I used to meet them continually for 22 years, I have nothing to do for my children. And I would say, take them to a library. It's free. You know, it's free. You can take them to a library and just think the things that you can do as an adult and your child can do. And I think they're very important messages. And today, the 20th selection at Chicago Citywide Book Club, One Book, One Chicago, which really proud of. I think it is a commitment that all of us understood how important it is to the future of our city. And this is part of the great global city that we are. And to listen to mayors that come across the world and to come here and say, I can't believe you have a free library system, not just downtown, but in the communities. And to me, I'm very, very proud of the commitment that Mary and the board and all of us have made, and the citizens have made, to a library system. And I think, example, just this U Media, what has taken place, first of its kind in the country, and so all the different changes that have taken place in a library has really originated here from Chicago. I thank Mary and the wonderful staff that have accomplished this. As Mary pointed out, this is the 20th selection, and I'm glad to announce that Neil Gaimen, a novel, Neverwhere, is the 20th selection for Chicago Citywide Book Club, One Book, One Chicago. And I really appreciate the opportunity to, again, thank all the staff of the library system that have made a difference here in our city. And I believe it's all part of a learning environment. We deserve a world-class library. Thanks to the efforts of many people working together, we have been able to create rich book collections in our more than 70 locations and hire and train professional staff for our libraries, add the state-of-the-art technology to all libraries, and build and open 55 or renovated libraries since 1989. Millions of Chicagoans who had poor or non-existent libraries service in the past now embrace their libraries as community anchors and places of life learning. I am very proud that the Chicago Public Library has become a model not only for this country, I believe for the world, and I really believe that as I travel and we talk about different things that may take place here in our city. I always bring in the library system, not only downtown, but in all the communities. We have shown that how building a library can make a community stronger and improve the quality of life and give many residents hope of the future. Since I have been mayor, I've worked hard to encourage Chicagoans to make reading a priority in their lives, which is why a program like One Book, One Chicago is so important. It has been a great success, as Mary pointed out. We look at it as a way to bring people together in all of our communities, to foster the kind of communication that can only help make Chicago a better place to live and to work, and to meet your neighbors and other people throughout the city in these book discussions. Every year, the program inspires Chicagoans to take part in discussion groups, lectures, readings, and other cultural events revolving around the selection of a book. Most of all, it gets them talking to each other about important issues of the heart or the mind, and it reconnects them with matchless experience of reading. The Chicago Public Library always selects a book that takes us all a little out of a typical reading habits. Neverwhere is a novel in which the main character, an office worker, faces many dangerous challenges in a fantasy world beneath London, as he looks for return to his normal life and discovers the hero within himself. And the Chicago Public Librarians have created a resource guide. We'll conduct book discussions across the city and all of our community libraries. Thousands of Chicagoans are expected to participate in additional discussions, lectures, and readings. For example, the author himself, Neil Gaimen, will participate in 2 free public events, April 12th at the Harold Washington Library Center and April 13th at the Rockefeller Memorial Chapel at the University of Chicago. And on April 11th, also here at the Library Center, there will be a full reading of Lifeline Theater stage adaptation of Neverwhere, which received great reviews from critics as well as the author himself when it was produced here last year. Of course, especially in these very difficult economic times, government cannot produce an ambitious program such as One Book, One Chicago by itself. So I want to thank the many, many partners who have supported our efforts for many years, especially presenting sponsors, Chicago Public Library Foundation and Allstate. Our libraries provide a special place beyond home and work, where people of all ages and backgrounds come to improve their lives, nourish their intellect, or simply be entertained. Chicago is a place in the global economy, and the quality of life in our city will be determined by a large part whether or not our children's ability to read with comprehension. One Book, One Chicago reminds us we can't just tell young people reading is important. Adults must set the example in their homes and in their communities. Remember, there are 4 simple things everyone can do to help make Chicago a city of readers. Get a library card and use it. Read aloud with a child for 20 minutes a day or less. Have books in your home and get caught up in the act of reading. I want to encourage every Chicagoan to read Neverwhere and take advantage of the fantastic and wonderful programs that the Chicago Library has for all of our citizens, free throughout our city. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary.